Good evening. I think if we're going to assign a title to tonight's invitation, Robert, it would be, what do you live for? I have a lot of different hobbies, too many to be honest, and I don't really focus on all of them at any one time, but instead my attention to each of them tends to be cyclical, almost on a yearly basis. It's like, all right, well, it's fall time, that means it's time to get out the hiking gear, and that's my focus for the next 3 months, or whatever it may be. Right now it's fishing. It's kind of consumed a lot of my time lately. And I have a tendency to hyper-focus on whatever that hobby happens to be at any given time. And at times, this can be a detriment to other areas of my life that require my attention, including my spiritual life, my family life, my social life, or even my work life. And this may sound odd, but it can take a considerable effort to ensure that the really important things stay in the forefront of my focus and not whatever hobby I happen to be into at that time. And for you, maybe it's not hobbies, but maybe it's your profession, or if you're in school, maybe it's your school load and homework. There's many different things that can take over your thoughts and consume your thoughts. And they may, in and of themselves, not be bad things, but they can pull you away from the things that are truly good in your life. Have you ever heard someone say that they live to insert this activity, or I live for whatever it may be? For example, I live for fishing, I live to garden, I live to travel. It is often used, I think, as a pretty common phrase it's used as hyperbole to express a passion for an interest or an activity. And while it may be hyperbole, there's probably more truth to it than we may realize or that we may be willing to admit. So the question tonight is, what do you live for? What should we live for? What is it that motivates us when we wake up in the morning? Is our first thought in the morning to start checking our work emails, or to open social media and see what's going on with all of our friends and family? Let's take a look at 2 Corinthians chapter 5. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verses 14 and 15. Paul wrote, "For the love of Christ controls us, because we have concluded this, that one has died for all, therefore all have died. And he died for all, that those who live might no longer live for themselves, but for him who for their sake died and was raised." Paul says that it's the love of Christ that controls us. Jesus' love for all of us is what motivated him to die for us, and in return, our love for him should be the motivation that guides us in our thoughts, in our actions, in the choices that we make in our day-to-day toil. So a question for us in summary would be, what is my identity? How do I define myself? Is it that I'm a husband, or I'm a wife, I'm a father, I'm a mother, an outdoorsman, an engineer, or an accountant? Or maybe it's I'm a child of God, or I am a Christian. And the point that I want us to see in this is that the love of Christ, the love that Christ has shown us in the sacrifice that he made for us, this act is what should define who we are to ourselves. So if there's anyone here this evening who has maybe been struggling with this, you are a Christian, you know that you're a child of God, but your focus hasn't been that I'm a Christian, and that's what's been guiding and directing your lives and your thoughts. Or perhaps up to this time, you haven't yet accepted Christ, and you would like to do so, and you would like to dedicate your life towards that. then I would encourage you to please come forward as we stand and sing.